The war in Ukraine has been going on for more than 2 years, and although Russian forces have suffered heavy losses in equipment and personnel, Russia appears willing to continue fighting, thanks to its internal replenishment capacity and the resilience of its economy. This reality is changing Ukraine's strategy. Until recently, Ukrainian attacks on Russian territory were only aimed at military targets, such as airfields and ammunition depots, but since the end of last year these attacks have been directed at civilian targets of high economic importance, more specifically the oil industry. The Russian economy suffers from a major economic embargo imposed by the West, which includes among its guidelines a ban on the purchase of Russian oil. This part, however, was circumvented with the increase in Russian oil exports to countries such as India and China, which lessens the impact of the embargo imposed on the Russian economy. Crude oil and petroleum products represent the majority of Russia's exports, and guarantee the Russian regime an annual profit of hundreds of billions of dollars. This value is fundamental to keeping the Russian war machine running, which includes everything from the daily resources spent on mobilizing troops on the ground to the costs involved in replacing destroyed weapons and equipment, such as armored vehicles and combat aircraft. Compromising the flow of financial resources from the oil industry is Ukraine's new target. After all, without money there is no way to maintain a large-scale military operation. As part of this new strategy, Ukraine has been intensifying its attacks on the Russian oil industry. This week Ukrainian drones hit the Norsy refinery in Nizhny Novgorod. They also hit the refinery of Rosneft in Ryazan, the 7th largest Russian refinery, which was forced to halt its activities due to fires and the destruction of sensitive equipment. The Novoshakhtinsk refinery was also hit, with similar effects. On Saturday the Syzran refinery was also attacked by Ukrainian drones which caused a huge fire. Together, these refineries account for more than 10% of Russia's oil processing capacity, and Ukrainian forces appear willing to continue attacks. A worrying fact for the Russian government is that much of the technology used in the equipment responsible for processing oil is of Western origin, sensitive to the embargoes imposed on Russia. This could make it difficult to rebuild these units or force them to operate at a lower capacity, prolonging the effects of Ukrainian attacks. These attacks angered Russian President Vladimir Putin, who stated that this was an attempt by Ukraine to interfere in the Russian electoral process, as decreased oil production could impact fuel prices, increasing the government's unpopularity. Another possible effect of this Ukrainian strategy is to force the displacement of Russian anti-aircraft systems from the front line to the defense of oil installations in the interior of the country, which would give greater freedom of action to the Ukrainian Air Force, especially after receiving the F-16 fighters, which should begin operating in Ukraine in July this year. In the short term the effects may not be so significant, but in the medium or long term, if Russia does not improve the protection of its facilities, this new Ukrainian strategy could have a very harsh impact on the Russian economy and, consequently, on its armed forces. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.